Okay, quick scene. It is late at night, your room is quiet, you open your banking app, and for one tiny second, your soul leaves your body.
That reaction is so real. Not even because the number is always terrible, but because the feeling is bigger than a number. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes guilt, sometimes pure confusion.
And that is exactly what we are talking about today, because a lot of people work hard, study hard, and still do not feel calm when money enters the conversation.
Right. You can be responsible, intelligent, and even successful on paper and still have a weird relationship with money in daily life. Those things can exist at the same time.
So today, we're not doing some fantasy episode called Become Rich by Next Tuesday.
Yeah, sadly, we're not handing out magical millionaire powers today.
We're doing something better. We're talking about small, realistic habits that make your money life feel less chaotic and a lot more adult.
Not flashy habits, not glamorous habits, just the kind that help you breathe easier when bills arrive, when payday comes, and when temptation starts whispering from your phone screen.
And before we jump in, if real conversations like this help your English grow, subscribe to Say It Real. Give this episode a like and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.
Yeah, do that now while your future self is feeling responsible. It helps the channel and it helps more learners find these conversations too.
Also, we want this one to feel personal, so while you listen, ask yourself one question. What emotion shows up first when I think about money?
Because that emotion matters. If money always feels heavy, then even good advice can sound like pressure. But if we slow it down, it becomes something you can actually work with.
I love that because this episode is really about peace, not performance. Yes, we're talking about spending and saving and habits, but underneath all that, we're talking about feeling steady.
Exactly. So let me confess something. Years ago, I could talk intelligently about budgets and investing and all those big topics, and then I would avoid checking my own account for days.
Which is kind of wild because from the outside, people probably thought, oh, Nate has it together.
They definitely did. Meanwhile, I was doing that classic move where you mentally subtract rent, groceries, transport, two random coffees, one guilty online order, and then just hope the math works out.
Ah, yes, the spiritual budgeting method.
Exactly. Deeply creative, not very effective.
So, what changed first? Was it one big wake up call or more like a slow realization that your money habits weren't matching the life you said you wanted?
It was one moment, actually. I remember getting paid, feeling relieved, and then feeling anxious again just a few days later. And I thought, hold on, why does money keep arriving like good news and leaving like a mystery?
Oof, that line hits.
And that became habit number one for me. Stop treating money like fog. Give every dollar a job and every pattern a name. Not in a complicated way, just honestly.
So, instead of saying, I spend too much, you got more specific?
Yes, specificity changes everything. I stopped saying vague things like, I am bad with money. I started saying, I overspend when I am tired. I forget small subscriptions. I buy convenience when I feel overwhelmed.
That is such a big shift because vague shame keeps you stuck, but clear language gives you something to work on.
Exactly. Once you can name the pattern, you can interrupt the pattern. That is the beginning of control.
So, habit one is basically this: make the invisible visible. Look at your money life without drama and describe it like a calm observer, not a harsh judge.
Yes, because shame is loud, but it is not useful. Clarity is quieter and way more powerful.
Okay, then comes habit two, and I love this one because it sounds so simple. Schedule a monthly money meeting with yourself.
That phrase sounds both boring and healing.
It kind of is. Once a month, same chair, same drink, same notebook. No panic, no punishment, just a regular check-in where you look at what came in, what went out, and what needs attention next.
So not every day, not obsessively, not 10 times an hour.
Definitely not. That only feeds anxiety. The point is rhythm. When you know you have a money meeting coming, you stop living in constant background fear.
I really like that. It turns money from an emergency into a routine conversation.
Yes, and during that meeting, I only ask 3 things. What surprised me this month, what helped me this month, and what one adjustment would make next month easier.
That is such a humane way to do it. Not, where did I fail as a person? More like, what can I learn here?
Exactly. We're trying to build trust with ourselves, not start a courtroom.
Okay, but let's be honest. Even when people know what to do, they still forget. Or they remember and then avoid it.
True, which brings me to habit 3. Reduce the number of decisions your tired brain has to make.
Ah, automation.
Yes, but not as some cold finance trick, more as an act of kindness toward your future self. Bills that can be automated? Automate them. Savings transfer on payday? Automate it. Recurring essentials? Set them up once.
So the goal is not to become a robot. The goal is to protect yourself from your low-energy version.
Exactly, because your low-energy version is the one who says, I'll handle that tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes expensive.
We all know that person. She has excellent intentions and terrible timing.
She really does.
When the basics happen automatically, money stops depending on mood, and that's huge, because moods change. Systems stay.
So far, we have clarity, a monthly check-in, and automation. That already feels more peaceful. But what about the emotional trap of reward spending?
That one was big for me. Habit 4 was learning to pause before I bought comfort disguised as a treat.
Ooh, say more.
You know that sentence people tell themselves after a hard day? I deserve this. Sometimes it's true, but sometimes that sentence is just exhaustion wearing fancy clothes.
Wow, that's painfully accurate.
So I made a tiny rule. Anything non-essential over a certain amount had to wait 24 hours. Not forever, just one day. Long enough for emotion to stop driving the car.
And what happened when you waited?
Half the time, I forgot about the thing completely, which told me I did not really want it. I wanted relief, stimulation, or a little boost.
So the purchase was not the need, the feeling was the need.
Exactly. And once I saw that, I got better at asking a smarter question. What am I actually hungry for right now?
Rest, maybe? Comfort? A sense of control? Something to look forward to?
Yes. Money becomes easier when you stop asking it to solve emotional problems it was never built to solve.
That is a really important line.
Okay. Habit 5 is one I think a lot of people ignore. Build a buffer, even if it starts embarrassingly small.
A buffer meaning a little financial breathing room.
Exactly. Not a glamorous fund, not a giant number you show off, just a small cushion between you and panic. Enough so one surprise doesn't become a crisis.
I think people sometimes hear the word savings and immediately feel defeated because they imagine they need a massive amount.
Right. But the first goal is not impressive. The first goal is relief. Maybe it's enough for one bill. Maybe 1 week of groceries. Maybe just enough to stop that horrible feeling of being one mistake away from disaster.
I love that framing. Relief is a beautiful goal.
It really is. And that little buffer changes your posture. You stop reacting to every expense like it's a personal attack.
What was habit 6 for you?
Learning the difference between recurring joy and recurring leakage.
Oh, that's good.
We all have recurring charges. Some are worth it. Some quietly drain us. So, once every couple of months, I review every subscription, membership, and auto charge and ask, would I sign up for this again today?
That question is ruthless.
It is, and it works, because a lot of spending is not dramatic, it's sneaky. Little invisible leaks that feel harmless alone and ridiculous together.
So this habit is less about self-control and more about maintenance.
Exactly. Think of it like checking for taps left running in your house. You don't need moral strength, you just need attention.
That makes money management feel much less scary and much more practical.
Now, habit 7 was surprisingly hard for me because it involved another person. I had to start talking about money out loud.
Yeah, that can feel deeply vulnerable.
It did. I noticed I could talk about work stress, health goals, even family drama easier than I could say, I'm confused about my money habits.
Because money gets tangled up with identity so fast. People hear numbers and suddenly think worth, success, failure, status.
Exactly. But once I started having honest conversations with trusted people, everything softened. Not performative conversations, not comparison, just real talk.
Like, what kinds of questions?
Things like, how do you organize your bills? Do you keep separate accounts? How do you talk about spending with your partner? What made money feel calmer for you?
And I bet the big surprise was realizing other people were confused too.
Completely. So many people look composed and still feel uncertain. Talking about it removes the weird loneliness around money.
So, habit 7 is break the silence. Shame grows in secrecy. Clarity grows in conversation.
Beautifully said.
And then we get to habit 8, which might be my favorite. Spend in ways that make your future self stronger, not just temporarily happier.
Meaning skills, tools, health, stability, things that keep giving back?
Yes, I started asking, does this purchase disappear fast or does it improve my life beyond this week? Sometimes the best spending is not exciting. It's useful. It helps you earn better, think better, live better.
That could be a course, a better chair if you work long hours, something that saves time, something that supports your body, even something that improves your focus.
Exactly. I'm not against fun spending at all. Life should have joy. But when all your extra money goes toward quick mood boosts, your future self never gets invited to the party.
That is such a good way to say it.
So let's pause and look at the full picture. First, name your patterns. Second, have a monthly money meeting. Third, automate the basics. Fourth, use the 24-hour pause. Fifth, build a buffer. Sixth, check recurring leaks. Seventh, talk honestly. Eighth, spend towards strength.
Notice how none of those habits require being a genius. They require attention, honesty, and repetition.
Yes, and I think that matters for listeners because a lot of people secretly believe they're just not a money person.
I don't buy that. Most people are not bad with money. Most people are undertaught, overstimulated, emotionally tired, and trying to make adult decisions in a world designed to make spending effortless.
Yes, that's the real issue. You're not broken. Your environment is loud, your habits may be untrained, and your money has probably been mixed with stress for a long time.
Which means this can change. Slowly maybe, imperfectly, definitely, but absolutely.
And this is a good moment for another little reminder. If these conversations help you learn naturally, subscribe to Say It Real. Give us a like and hit the notification bell so you stay with us for more episodes.
See, responsible life advice and a responsible channel reminder. We're really building habits together today.
Before we close, I want to say one more thing. Progress with money is often quiet. No applause, no dramatic soundtrack. Sometimes it's just you noticing you didn't panic this month.
Or you paid something on time. Or you said no to one impulse buy. Or you finally looked at the numbers without spiraling.
Those moments count deeply. Peace is built from small repeats.
And now, let's slow down for our word tour. This is the part where we revisit useful words and phrases from today so they really stick with you.
Yes, just relax and listen. You can repeat after us if you want. We're going to make these words feel simple and usable.
First word, pattern. A pattern is something that happens again and again in a recognizable way. For example, I noticed a pattern in my spending. I order food when I am stressed.
Another example, if you can see the pattern, you can change the pattern. That is a very useful idea in life, not only with money.
Next phrase, monthly check-in. A check-in is a moment when you stop and review a situation. For example, I do a monthly check-in with my money every first Sunday.
You can also say, our team has a weekly check-in, or I need to check in with myself because life feels messy right now.
Next word, automate. To automate something means to set it up so it happens by itself. For example, I automated my bill payments so I do not forget them.
Another example, She automated a transfer to savings on payday. Very natural, very useful.
Next phrase, impulse buy. An impulse buy is something you purchase suddenly without planning it carefully. For example, that jacket was an impulse buy. I saw it and bought it immediately.
Another example, waiting one day helps me avoid impulse buys. That is a great sentence for real life.
Next word, buffer. A buffer is a small amount of extra protection or space that helps when something unexpected happens. For example, I am trying to build a small buffer in my bank account.
Or, we arrived early to give ourselves a time buffer. So this word is useful for money and for daily planning.
Next phrase, recurring charge. A recurring charge is a payment that repeats regularly, usually every month. For example, I canceled 2 recurring charges that I was no longer using.
Another example, before you sign up, check whether it becomes a recurring charge. Very practical.
Next word, leak. In money talk, a leak is a place where money slowly disappears. For example, coffee was not my biggest expense, but subscriptions were a leak.
You can also say, we found a leak in the budget. That means money is leaving in a way that is not very helpful.
Next word, align. To align means to match or fit together well. For example, I want my spending to align with my values.
That is a beautiful sentence. I want my spending to align with my values. It sounds natural and thoughtful.
Next phrase, safety net. A safety net is something that protects you if things go wrong. For example, savings can act as a safety net during a difficult month.
And another example, friends can be an emotional safety net. So again, useful for money and for life.
That was our word tour for today. Even learning a few of those expressions can help you talk about money in a clearer, more natural way.
And maybe that's the deeper point of this episode. Better language can support better thinking. When you can describe your habits well, you can change them more calmly.
So, tonight or tomorrow or whenever you're ready, choose one habit from this conversation. Not all 8, just one. One small move toward a steadier life.
Maybe you set up one automatic payment. Maybe you review one recurring charge. Maybe you start your first tiny buffer. Maybe you simply look without judging.
Whatever it is, let it be simple enough that you'll actually do it.
And tell us in the comments, which habit are you starting first? We love reading your thoughts, and your sentence might help another listener feel less alone.
And before we go, one last reminder to subscribe to Say It Real. Give this episode a like and hit the notification bell. It really helps the channel grow, and we would love to keep learning with you.
Take care of your English, take care of your choices, and take care of your peace of mind.
We will see you in the next conversation. Bye.